to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been a diehard fan of Chauncey Billups, Hall of Famer, Detroit Piston, went to every playoff game in 2004, every home game, and I really enjoyed watching Chauncey, and it's so exciting that he got elected in the Hall of Fame. But I apologize. I was out of town after the last game, so I wasn't able to do a podcast. And then I've had some things coming, and I just appreciate all of you for still hanging in and listening. I'll try to do a better job. I had a great friend pass away. Willard Reichman was his name, and he was a real friend. He was 105, and I spoke at his funeral today, and it was really a great day. He has a great family, and his son was one of my best friends and from high school and was on my high school basketball team. But anyway, talk a little about the Pistons. So tonight we're playing the Grizzlies, and Cade's not playing, so not a lot of fun things happening, but except for Jaden Ivey. So Jaden Ivey, I quit watching the game, so I'm gonna, after I get done with my podcast, I'm gonna watch the women's game. I'm gonna watch Iowa play against Connecticut, the women's game. So I'm sure it's gonna be the biggest watch game in women's basketball history and the biggest college game in basketball this year, men's or women's, I'm sure. So anyway, our Pistons were playing with, Jaden Ivey and Duran playing after he get his tooth punched out, but Ivey is on fire. And so last I checked, we were behind 91-70, and it was in the fourth quarter with about 6 minutes left, but Ivey had played 27 minutes. He was 10 for 13 from the floor, 6 for 7 on threes, 5 for 6 on free throws, and he had four turnovers in the first half, but he hasn't had any in the second half so far. But it was a disastrous game, and the Grizzlies are playing without, any of their players. So I think we're tied with the Grizzlies. The two teams are playing tonight, tied for the most players played in a season, 32 in NBA history. So they've had some terrible luck, and we've had some bad luck, and we're playing a bunch of G Leaguers, and they're playing a bunch of G Leaguers and guys that just are picked up, off waivers or picked up that were just free agents. So just want to talk a little bit about some things. First of all, the Pistons look like they've secured pretty much close to the worst record. We're 2 games behind the Wizards. The Wizards just beat the Bucks, so we have 5 games left, and we're 2 games behind the Wizards. So it'll be hard to catch them, and it will be impossible basically to catch anybody else because they've all got a lot of they've all got a lot more wins. So we'll never be able. We'll finish at least with the second worst record, and probably the worst record, and probably the worst record in Piston history. And we're gonna dive into a bunch of those topics, not today, but we're gonna dive into, is Monty gonna get fired or Troy gonna get fired, and what should happen. But this has been very discouraging. Again, I have to at the trade deadline, and we got Fontecchio and Grimes. I was so excited, and everybody was healthy, and I thought, here we go. And then everybody got hurt. Fontecchio, I can't believe he's out with a sore toe, and I know it really hurts. I have arthritis in one of my big toes, so I know that can hurt, and it makes it hard to run. When your toe hurts, you can't run. So, but it's surprising how long it's taken. So, but I want to talk a little bit more about Jaden Ivey, and I'm not going to be as organized as I usually am, but I just wanted to make it clear. I in the last couple episodes, I've been talking about how inconsistent other players are. I talked about a whole bunch of players, especially in their first 3 years, and there's a lot of guys who are considered great players, and we look at them and they think, oh, this guy's great. For example, Tyrese Halliburton, he was the talk of the league for the whole first part of the season. He was just lighting it up. He was shooting like 45% on threes, and he was just getting 12 assists a game and no turnovers, and he was phenomenal. And then guess what? He pulled his hamstring and hurt it, and then he forced himself to try to play, because if you play 65 games, he was going to get a huge bump up in his contract extension, his rookie max extension. So it paid him to do it, but it's made him suffer, and he's never recovered. So he went from like 45% shooting threes, and now he's down to 36% shooting threes. But that doesn't really even tell he dropped 10 points. But so the last month or two, he's been shooting like below 30%, and he's even shooting less. So it's been a big struggle for him, but I'm just saying he looked like this. Everybody was saying he was first team All NBA, and then now he's not just kind of considered an afterthought. And another guy that's considered first team All NBA and future face of the league, and he's had one of the most insane dunks and blocks just recently. But Anthony Edwards, everybody would love to have him, right? Anthony Edwards missed 19 threes in a row. Just now, he just got done missing 19 threes in a row. So guys are inconsistent, but I tell you, and it took Chauncey Billups at least 3 years before he got to be good. And then now he's a Hall of Famer. But I just loved watching Chauncey play. He was a true leader, and he had the right demeanor to be the point guard of the world champion Detroit Pistons. They were so close to winning a second world championship. And again, they Eastern Conference Finals 6 years in a row with Mr. Big Shot. And I got to watch him make all the big shots. And he really didn't care. He didn't even average that many points. He would wait, and he would dish the ball to Rip curling off those picks, or lob it to Ben Wallace for a dunk. And then in the fourth quarter, when the game got tight, he was just unbelievable. I mean, just even for the last 5 minutes or 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, when the game was on the line, his percentage seemed like it was phenomenal. That he never missed and hit threes, and he just was cool as the other side of the pillow. But he was lots of fun to watch, and I'm so proud and happy that he got into the Hall of Fame. He's got bad luck coaching for Portland, and they had Dame Lillard, and they were going to have this good team, and then Dame was hurt, and then Dame left, and then he's got all these young guys, and then all those guys are getting hurt. The Trailblazers have had a lot of injuries, just like the Pistons and the Grizzlies, more than most any other team. But it was sure fun to watch him. So anyway, so the Pistons are playing tomorrow night, unfortunately, and I will be out of town again, so I will not be doing a podcast after the game. They play the Nets, which is a bummer. Of course, whether Cade plays or not plays, it's going to be tough because we're just going to be playing back to back. We're going to be in Memphis tonight, and then we're going to be playing in Brooklyn tomorrow, and that's tough for even if you got a good team, and we don't. So. And then we got play at Philadelphia. We got one home game left against the Bulls on next Thursday. And then we have to play back-to-back against the Mavs. And they're going to be fighting for playoff position. So that's going to be a tough one. And we finish up with the Spurs, who have been winning lately. And, I mean, they tanked really hard last year, but there is no one to tank for this year. But anyway, we'll quickly talk about Malachi Flynn. So talk of the league. This guy scores 50 points in a game. And he was averaging 5 points a game. So that's the lowest scoring average of a player in history that ever scored 50 points in a game. He broke all kinds of other different things that he had never been done before. And then tonight, what is he? Last I checked, Malachi Flynn, 0 for 12, 0 for 7 on threes. And so that's, just life in the NBA. And whether he's not that great of a player. And I always said he likes to shoot. He always, when he'd get in for 14 minutes, he'd get up 5 shots. And a lot of times he'd have, no assists. But I want to thank you for listening. And I do apologize. And I'm going to be on, I'll come on right after the Bulls game. And I sure appreciate you. I'm not giving up on the Pistons. I'm not giving up on my podcast. I'm going to be there. And I love the fact that so many of you have been so faithful and loyal. Thank you, and please subscribe, and go Pistons.